Well, today we're going to make a fire grate to put some logs in our fireplace with. Stay tuned and see how fun and easy this project is. All right, so I've got the fireplace here that this is going to go into. The fireplace grate that we're working on today was designed specifically to go into the fireplace I made on the channel. You can make the same thing to go into another miniature fireplace you have. You just might have to adjust some of the measurements. And I'll tell you why. Because when I designed this area, this depth, to be very shallow. It still looks all right for a fireplace, but the whole thing doesn't take up nearly as much space in the dollhouse. So that being said, we're going to start making our fireplace grate by making kind of a mold almost, or a jig, to bake our clay over once we get ready to do that step. So I cut 4 pieces off of one of these jumbo craft sticks. This is the really big craft sticks that you can get at Walmart. It's the only place I've seen these is Walmart, but they're like 1.25 inches wide. Now you could use other strip wood, but I've got those and I love using these for different things. And I cut 4 chunks. The only measurement that is important is this one on here, not how long I cut them. So I cut them approximately, I would say probably about 1 inch long, but I didn't measure that. I just whacked them off so I would have the chunks, because I just care about that basically 1.25 inch measurement going the width of the craft stick. And I'm going to stack 4 of them. You need 4 pieces. And these do have a tendency to warp, so we are going to be clamping them. And this is what we are going to use to glue form our legs for our fireplace grate on. And that will make a nice height that when we make our legs and we sand down the front and the back, it will work. Now I'm going to take some of these clamps from Dollar Tree, and I'll probably have to fiddle with these off camera. It's going to be a little messy. Ideally, I want to get 4 of them, 1 on each corner. And trying to get those edges, the original edges of the craft stick lined up so that we have a nice shape to work with. All right, now that glue will need to dry. For the pattern for the mold for the top part of the fireplace grate, I used 1 of these craft sticks from the dollar store. They're slightly narrower than the ones from the craft store. I'm sure either will work. I simply cut 1 of these in half. I'm going to add some glue. And I'm going to stick the other half on it. And for this one, I'm going to use, I've got one big one. And I want to clamp this one. And now, like I said with the other one, this glue needs to dry completely before we move on to the next step. So when the glue's dry, I'll be back and we can make sure these are nice and smooth, and then wrap them in foil and start playing with some clay. I'll be back when they're ready. All right, off camera, I've already done the smaller piece, the one made out of the regular small craft sticks. So we're going to work on the bigger piece. We are going to totally ignore the cut ends of these sticks, but the sides that were the edges of the craft stick, we're going to sand that a little. Mine are not perfectly straight, and that's fine. I'm just going to smooth it out as best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect, because the next step, I've cut a piece of aluminum foil. Now be careful that you're wrapping it around, leaving the cut edges on the open side. So we don't care how long it is. And it needs to go around this at least twice. More is fine, but at least twice, because that will give a good coverage and it will kind of smooth out any bumps. Now the foil is on here for 2 reasons. Number 1, like I said, it's kind of smoothing this out. It will give our clay a better finish. Number 2, the clay could stick to the wood. It won't, if it sticks to the aluminum foil, I can just unpeel it from the clay once it's baked and we're all done. So I am going to now get my table set up to work with clay, and we are going to make the individual pieces that we're going to use to make our fire grate. So I'll be right back. All right, off camera, I went ahead and conditioned some black clay. I happen to be using just Fimo Soft today. I got it all conditioned. I rolled it out using these 2 craft sticks to make a good thickness. Now I will have a link up in the top corner to my Clay 101 playlist. If you haven't worked with polymer clay or it's been a while, I have a lot of good tips and tricks over on the Polymer Clay 101 playlist. So rather than going through all of that stuff every video that I use clay, it's just easier to send you to the playlist, and you can see videos on how to condition your clay and what that even means. I know a lot of people are very confused about what does conditioning mean. So I use this for thickness. That'll be a good thickness for our pieces, and we're going to start with the pieces for the leg, and I'm going to use this as kind of a guide for my width also, except I just lost it. So let's get this on this side. These are going to be our larger pieces. There, that will be easier. Now don't push too hard on the piece, the craft stick at this point, because you don't want to make a dent. The idea is I just want a bunch of strips right now. But I want them all approximately the same size. So let's take a couple of these. Now, keeping track that we've got our covered edges of this, that means that's the direction that our clay needs to go. Trying to make sure you don't have this twisted at all and that it's laying nice and straight. Also, something to keep in mind, the firmer the clay, the stronger your finished piece will be. And I'm going to make, we only need 2. This is for the legs that are going to support our piece. I only need 2 of them. I'm going to make probably 4 of them altogether, just so if one of them breaks or I have problems, it doesn't turn out the way I want it to, I don't have to get everything back out and start over. I can simply pull one of the extras, because I'm not wasting a lot of clay by making extras. Try and make sure they're straight. I cut them so they're even with the bottom of the block. I'll make more of them off camera, but I want to show you how we're doing these. Now remember, we're only making a half fire grate because of the depth of our fireplace. If you had a deeper fireplace, you could make it go up on both ends and make it wider. Now for this, I'm not going to go all the way around. I'm only going to bend it around, go down, keeping this really straight. Trying my best not to get my head in the camera. And then I want to cut it off even with the back. Make sure that's straight. And this we are going to want 4 of these, but I'm going to make probably at least 6 or 8 of them, just to, like I said, to make sure that I've got extras just in case I need them. So I'll do one more on camera. I'm not sure how much of this you're able to see because it is fiddly. There will be photos of what this step looks like on the blog post. So pull that a little bit further. I want that even with the base of the sticks. Now let's see if I can hold it. Okay, this one is totally messed up. That one is better. There, it's trimmed so it's level there and it ends there. So I'm going to make a bunch of those, and I'm going to make, I need to fix these. These are not quite right. Let's go ahead and just cut. I think I can cut them by eye better. Let's do it this way. That's going to work better. And then cut them so they are even there. And so they're even there. All right, I'm going to make several of these. I'm going to make a bunch of those. And then I'm going to bake them at about 250 degrees for probably about 10 minutes. And when they are baked and cooled, I'll come back and we'll start assembling this. All right, the pieces are all baked and cooled. And I actually had to think overnight because I'll get to that here in a second. My first idea for assembling this did not work. So I made double what I feel I need. That way, if I decide to make a second one, I can. Now, my original plan was to use liquid Sculpey to put this together. That was a total fail when I went to do it yesterday. So I've come up with an alternative plan, and I'm actually going to have to use my second choice in glue, which we'll get to in a second. So I've got my mold that I made the legs on, and I wrapped it with a piece of masking tape that's sticky side out. And it's wrapped all the way around and attached to itself. It's not actually attached to the aluminum foil. Now I've drawn some lines. I went in 1/4 inch from each end and drew lines 1/4 inch apart. And then I drew a straight line lengthwise and another one that is 3/8 of an inch away from that one. That way I've got placement marks for my pieces. So I'm going to take the 2 of these that I like the best, or randomly pick 2, and I'm going to line these up with those. Now, when my liquid clay did not work for doing this yesterday, I decided I would use super glue. I have spent most of yesterday and all morning today trying to find my super glue. I know you guys can identify with this. I cleaned my work table off a couple of weeks ago and I put my super glue in, quote, someplace where I'd be able to find it when I needed it. I have no idea where it is and I don't have time to go to the store to buy new. So I looked online. E6000 is compatible with polymer clay according to several jewelry sites I looked at, because a lot of people use polymer clay to make jewelry. And the only thing is, they said it can be a kind of brittle connection if the bond can be brittle. So this may have issues that way. We will see. But this is what I'm going to use because this is what I can find. This was a new tube and it was sitting on my table because I just brought it home and laid it down. So now the idea is I'm going to line up the bend with one of these, and I'm going to, and I'll probably have to do most of this off camera. I think I'm going to have to go find tweezers because I don't think I'm going to be able to get my fat fingers in here. Maybe I can. And I'm going to line them up with those lines I drew. I'm going to put 4 of these bent pieces on top of the legs. And I will have to hold on to them for a few minutes while the E6000 sets up. That's why I wanted to use super glue, but like I said, I can't find it. So I'm going to try and put the first one on camera, and after that I will probably move to off camera so you don't have to watch me struggle and probably listen to words that the YouTube bot would catch and demonetize me for. There are certain words we can't say on YouTube, and I probably will be saying a few of those before the day is over. So, 2 dots, 1 on each one of those. Try and keep these as straight. Well, hey, that went on a lot easier than I thought it would. Just a little bit. Yeah, maybe I will get this done on camera. Be sure and check the blog post because I'll talk about how you would adapt this if you have a fireplace you've purchased for your dollhouse that's deep enough to use the a whole fire grate, because basically what we are making today is, it's half a fire grate. It's kind of cut in half, because normally there would be, this would be a basket that would hold the firewood front and back. Hey, this is going much better than I thought it would. I was panicking for nothing. Okay, well, I am going to finish this up off camera, and then I'm going to let this glue dry for a couple hours. I don't have time to let it dry completely because this is taking a little longer to get to this point than I thought it would. So I will see you again when this is dry and we can remove it from here. So I'll see you then. All right, this is now off of the mold. And I will say, because I broke the one I did on camera and had to start over, get your, while it's still on the tape, unhook the tape and slide the tape off of here before you try to remove this from the tape. That will save you from having to redo yours like I had to do mine. So now I have some, and it's not perfect, it's a little crooked, it'll be fine. Glue, I need to put out some glue. I'm just going to stick with the E6000 because it's working just fine. And I have some sticks. I picked these up on my walk the other day. There was a branch. If you pick up a branch outside, be sure that you bake it in your oven at about 250 degrees for, I usually give them about an hour, just to be sure they are going to not have any bugs in them. So I cut these down to about 1 inch, and I'm going to glue just a couple on so it looks like we've got a fire. Don't go behind the back of the grate because this is quite a tight fit. And then this glue will need to dry, and then we can move it into, we can take a look at it in our fireplace. So I'm going to let this glue dry, and when it's all dry, I'll come back, we'll put it in the fireplace, and we'll take a look. All right, the glue is dry, and this is ready to put into our fireplace. And I'm not going to glue it in, I'm just going to leave it loose. I might put it in permanently at a later date, but that's how it looks. Now the fireplace looks like it's ready to be lit. Be sure and hop over to the blog post. I'll talk about the difficulties I had with this project and hints I have for you for completing it successfully. I'm really happy with it. I really like how it turned out. It's not perfect, but I love just the general look of it. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure and hit the like button and leave me a comment. Those things really help the channel so much. If you haven't subscribed and you enjoy my content, hit that subscription button and the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Thank you very, very much for watching today, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.